Welcome to our Energy Edge webinar, Selling Fuel Online. This webinar is geared to take approximately 40 to 45 minutes, as we know that your time is valuable. Once we have completed, we will open it up to a short Q&A section, so please hold your questions until then, or you can simply type them in on the right side of your screen, and we will address them after the presentation. If you notice on the right side of your screen, in your GoToMeeting box, about 3/4 of the way down, there's a small section marked Chat. Simply type your question in there, and John and I will get to them after the presentation, and we will be more than happy to stay on as long as necessary. Let me begin by introducing John Brable. John is a founding partner and the managing partner of Energy Edge, as well as our resident expert in business development with a proven track record for building businesses that are rewarded by the marketplace. John?
Hey, thank you, Adrian, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar this morning. Adrian, just want to do an audio check. How am I coming across this morning?
You sound great, John.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. As Adrian said, it's going to be a pretty fast-paced webinar. This webinar takes between 40 and 45 minutes, but it's packed with a lot of information. Realizing that, please do use the GoToMeeting chat feature. As Adrian mentioned, just as we're going through the presentation, type in your questions. Adrian will get to those, at the end of the webinar, and certainly we'll be glad to answer those questions for you. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Here's our agenda for today for this particular webinar. It's, we're going to take a quick look at how has our business, our fuel business, because I would expect that most people, as typical on this webinar, are folks that are involved in the fuel distribution business, either heating oil dealers, propane dealers, commercial fuel dealers, maybe HVAC, and take a look at how that business has really changed over the last 5 years. We'll also then bring you up to date on kind of what's going on with e-commerce in the U.S. in general. And then we will drill down on our particular industry in terms of e-commerce as well to kind of give you the comparison and probably a lot of insight in terms of where we're headed as far as e-commerce in our industry. We'll also share with you 3 key learnings based upon our experience and now most recently the experience of our clients. We've actually been engaged with e-commerce, selling fuel online for about the last 13 years, beginning in 2000. So we've got a good body of experience, and we'll be sharing some of that with you today and answering some of the most common questions that we've received over the years, from fuel dealers in terms of e-commerce, some of the fears as well. So we'll walk through those. And then finally, we'll talk about e-commerce if you're thinking about adding online fuel sales to your business and using e-commerce to attract new customers, kind of how you do it. What does it take on your part to be able to do that? So we'll cover that topic as well. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, our first agenda topic was how is our business changing? How is our industry changing? And it is actually changing very, very quickly. That graph that's there shows the last 10 years of volume. The blue line is heating oil, the green line is propane. And you can see that in both lines, particularly heating oil, the gallons are declining. Surprising to some people anyway, is propane gallons are also on a modest decline, although you can see some stabilization the last couple of years. What's driving those things? I mean, we know all of the different factors that we're dealing with in in the industry. Some of it is driven by certainly improved efficiency in terms of equipment, better insulation in the envelope of the buildings that are being heated, or homes, businesses, and so forth. So it really takes fewer gallons to be able to accomplish the same thing that it did many years ago. At the same time, we're seeing some changes in terms of consumer preference. In terms of the source of heat that they are using. We've seen that significantly, particularly if you look in, get up into New England, where some of you may be located. In the last number of years, as we've gone through a recession, we've seen a lot more wood and wood pellets used in areas where natural gas is available. We've seen folks switching to natural gas as natural gas is less expensive. As people kind of adapt their lifestyles and their buying preferences to changes that are taking place in the energy world. At the same time, though, what all of us need to do, and it's not anything that's unique to our business. It happens in every industry. Is we need to adapt to changes that are taking place, in our marketplace. The picture that's down there at the bottom right-hand corner of this slide is there intentionally. It's a picture of an old coal truck. And you think about our industry, and many of our companies actually had their roots back as coal delivery companies, wood delivery companies, in some cases ice delivery companies. And those companies adapted as well. And there are a significant number of opportunities, certainly for all of us, to adapt our business today as well. And using the internet and e-commerce wisely is certainly one of the big opportunities available to you to adapt your business and actually reverse some of the changes that you're probably seeing in your business as well. Should fuel companies be selling online? Well, to answer that question, let's look at what's going on with e-commerce across the entire country. Today virtually everyone is online. Everybody has access, online. Certainly the majority of homes have internet access. You add to that the number of folks that use the internet at their place of employment to do research, to purchase, and so forth. And certainly, anyone that wants to use the internet can do so at their local public library, and many people avail themselves to the technology at that, at that location as well. So virtually everyone in the U.S. is online, at least those people that want to be online. But what are they doing? Well, 83% of those people that are online will do research before making a purchase of the products and services that they're interested in buying. So that's a pretty strong number. So you have people, rest assured, you have people going online today searching for the types of products and services that you are selling, and it's helping them to make decisions on what they want to buy and where they want to buy it. Then switch to the next bullet there, which says 85% of the world's online population has used the internet to make a purchase. If we narrow that down to the U.S., in any given year, we're now up to about 80% of people that not only research online, but then they go and they buy online. So again, you have the vast majority of people that are using the internet not only to find, locate, research the types of products and services that you're selling, but they're also interested in buying online. And that number is going up. So that percentage is increasing. It's not going backwards. The third bullet there kind of looks at retail online sales overall. Now these are the folks that have been doing online greater than or longer than anyone. Certainly includes the likes of an Amazon.com, which is the granddaddy and one of the companies that certainly we look up to. But it also includes the big box retailers. It can be the Walmarts.com, the BestBuy.com, Target.com. The list goes on and on. And if we look most recently at this last year, 2012, online sales were up 15.8%, while total retail sales were up 4.8%. So you can see that online sales are growing faster than traditional retail sales. And actually that trend has been taking place now for somewhere better than 10 years. And it's projected, as you can see in this graph, to actually continue into the future as well. So no surprise that you see major retailers integrating their online activities into their retail stores as well. If I go into Home Depot, not only am I enticed by the products that are available in the store, but I'm also told very obviously that I can get more products at HomeDepot.com. And most companies, most major retailers now are definitely fully integrating their online operations into their traditional store operations, as online has become so important to their business. But what's driving these behavioral shifts that that we're seeing? What's driving people to use the internet more? In one word, it's convenience. Okay, they want it to be convenient. They find it to be convenient. Convenience is expressed a number of different ways. It may take them less time to use the internet. It may take them less time because they don't need to go to a store, drive around town, trying to find what they're looking for. They don't have to travel. Transparency is actually a big thing, and it's actually causing other shifts in the way people are buying too. But being able to learn, to research about products and services, the internet has made possible beyond our wildest expectations only 10 years ago. And the transparency also includes price. It wasn't all that long ago where if a customer wanted to find out what the price was of heating oil that they were interested in buying in their particular market, they got on the phone and called a half a dozen or more companies to kind of get a sense for where the market is. Today, you can do that with a few clicks if you know where to go pretty quickly, and get many more than 6, 7, or 8 prices. So price transparency, has become very important. It's quite honestly one of the things that we should not fear, even though many companies in our industry continue to be concerned about that. It's happening in all industries. Consumers expect that. If they don't find that price transparency, their reaction is they're hiding something. So it's not a bad thing. Certainly selection. If I'm looking for a product, I can go online and I can see, hundreds of different variations of a particular product, maybe where it would take me, literally hours or days to be able to see that same selection if I was going around to retail stores. And the last point in terms of convenience is it becomes convenient because a customer can go to the internet and they can get value pretty easily. Now, I say value and not price because value is made up of a variety of different components of that purchase, including the quality of that product, the availability of that product, how quickly I can get it delivered, a variety of other factors. And price is only one of those factors included in value. And while, many of us in the industry, have a tendency to say, well, all our customers want is the lowest price, when it gets down to the buying decision, that's actually not the truth. Price is part of it, but it's down the list, maybe number 4, 5, or 6. But the most important aspects of that buying, that purchase decision are actually other items. So let's take a little bit different look at who these online shoppers are, and some of this might surprise you. This actually comes out of a source called CrowdScience, and it is actually from January of this year. So this was information, as we wrapped up this last calendar year, and of course the holiday season and so forth. Baby boomers. Baby boomers spent more than twice as much online as consumers aged 18 to 22. Surprising to some people, where they typically think that the online people are the younger generations. They're spending online. They're doing everything online. If they want music, they're going online. And certainly they are. But baby boomers are actually spending much more money online. The second point, baby boomers between the ages of 56 and 66. Okay, these are now, this is the oldest group of the baby boomers, spend the most money online when compared to all other generations. So not only are these folks shopping online, they are spending more online. And many of us, in the industry, particularly if you're a heating oil dealer, think of our customer base as an older customer base. It isn't always true, but we think about it that way. And, and sometimes the misconception is that those folks are not shopping online. It's actually quite the opposite. And then the third bullet there is over 70%. Over 70% of 45 to 55-year-olds have bought something online in the last 3 months. So you can see that that internet buyers really are coming from all segments of the population. As we've sold fuel for for the last dozen or more years, we've been asked that question by different marketing organizations over the years. What's your target? And are they young? Are they old? Are they white? Are they black? Are they affluent? And so forth. The answer to the question is, yeah, it's really all of them. And our target is really homeowners who use the particular fuel that we were selling at the time. So let's take a look at how e-commerce is impacting online fuel sales. How fuel is purchased is also changing significantly. These numbers are actually performance metrics and data that comes out of our current online network of clients that use our Energy Engine to conduct e-commerce. And this compares to their performance in the prior season. So as we look at these, we're referring to this as same-store growth, and if you're not familiar with that retail term, what we're looking at here is companies that were selling online this past heating season, but they were also selling online the prior heating season minimally. So you have the comparison over 2 heating seasons. So this is not new growth, this is same-store growth. In terms of gallons, in terms of pure volume, and this number surprised us, gallon sales online for all of those dealers that fit that same store criteria was up 274% year over year. Now, we know that this year was a little bit colder. It was closer to normal compared to the prior year. Certainly not 274% normal or more or colder, 274% colder, not even close to it. So what these clients are seeing is significant growth in terms of new customers and consequently new gallons. The second point here is we're seeing a lot of search traffic or changes in search traffic and largely increases in search traffic. So we're seeing web visits up 170%, more people coming to their sites or getting to their sites, and some of it is based upon just more people searching on the things that you're selling. Unique visitors. The difference between visitors and unique visitors is if I go to a website last month, I go there 10 times, I count as 10 visits, but I'm only one unique visitor. Unique visitors are even up at a higher percentage, better than 200%. And then organic search traffic. And organic search traffic, if you're not familiar with that, is the most desirable search traffic that you want to get to your website because it's people that are just going to the internet and they're typing in a search phrase such as propane in Hartford, Connecticut, and they're not typing in your company name, so they may not even know that you exist. They're just trying to find somebody that can provide them with propane, or maybe it's it's very specific. It's it's propane for pool heat because that's what they're thinking about this time of the year maybe. That organic search traffic overall that our clients have seen is up 271%, so huge, huge increases. The last point actually goes to a performance metric, one of them that really stands out for us is the average drop size. Now this is for heating oil. The average drop size for an online delivery is 195 gallons. If you compare that to the average drop size for the industry overall, which is offline, it's 153 gallons. So you're seeing, roughly a 45-gallon increase in that drop size, which has a significant impact on fleet efficiency for folks that are selling fuel online. Your biggest cost is getting that truck and that driver to the location for the delivery. If you drop it 153 gallons, that's that's okay. That's where you've been. You're average to the industry. If you're dropping 195 gallons, it's taking you roughly another minute to do that. Actually, not quite a minute to deliver those additional gallons, and that drops right to your bottom line. So what our online dealers that are selling online are seeing is not only are they making money with their online business and they're adding customers at attractive margins. It costs them less to service those customers online, as you'll see in a couple of slides, but their core business also becomes more profitable because they've made their fleet more profitable at the same time. So, all right, so let's move on to our next agenda item, and let's look at some of the learnings that we've seen over the years, and we're going to share 3 key ones with you today. The first one is embrace it, don't fear it. The second one is e-commerce lowers your operating costs while it increases your margins. And then finally, know what it takes to run an online business. And I will make, like I made in the value comments a few slides ago, also make a comment here in terms of retail price. Because oftentimes we may be talking with a dealer And they may say, okay, yep, I know I need to start selling fuel online, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to have the lowest price in my market because it's going to cost me less and so forth. That's how I'm going to get new customers. Well, we kind of counsel that, that dealer that maybe that's not the best approach to take, because you do not have to be the lowest price. Matter of fact, it's better for you not to be the lowest price. And one of the comments that we heard over the years when we were operating our own business, and our clients, interestingly, feedback to us the same thing that they hear from their customers, almost these words verbatim. I came for the price, but I stayed for the convenience. What they're saying is, I came because your price was attractive, because you have to have a competitive price, with the alternatives out there. You have to be part of the consideration set, and in order to do that, you have to have a competitive price. But really what brings them back over and over and over again is the convenience of doing business with you if you have a completely automated and consumer-friendly site that enables them to easily come back, log into their account, place their reorders, buy some upsells, get the other products and services that they're looking for, and so forth. That's the convenience that brings them back. And actually, from our experience, and our clients are also seeing that now, instills a loyalty with that customer, even if it's an on-demand customer, or maybe you refer to them as will call. Even if it's an on-demand customer, if you're doing things properly online, you'll wind up with a more loyal customer than you ever will be doing business with them by phone, and at a lower cost to be able to retain that customer. So let's talk about some of these things. Embrace it, don't fear. It's a big market out there. Most companies in the industry, whether they're heating oil companies or propane companies, operate today with a single-digit market share. In other words, the percentage of customers that you service in your delivery territory that use the fuel that you're selling is less than 10% of the available market. So the upside is really that you can service the other 90% that currently are being serviced by your competitors. Back when we first launched our first online business in 2000, the entrepreneur that had hired me at that point said, hey, we've got a certain market share. We were a little bit larger company, so in our core market we were up closer to about 15% market share. But he still said, most of the market out there hasn't bought from us for some reason. We're not doing something right. How do we attract a larger percentage of that market? And that's exactly what e-commerce did for us. And that same advantage still holds true for energy marketers today. What this pie chart represents is this is the percentage right here, this 9 to 12% approximately of companies that are using e-commerce to sell fuel online. And we're being a little bit generous because the consumer expectations today are e-commerce are similar to what they would find on Amazon. Many fuel companies do not have that level of sophistication at this point, but we still included it. But the point of this chart is, you still have roughly 90% of the companies that are out there that have not provided that convenience for those customers, so you still have an opportunity to gain a considerable competitive advantage. The second fear that we hear, and actually it was a fear that we had when we first got started years and years ago, was the fear of losing a full-service customer. If you do have full-service customers and you now provide fuel online and a customer can purchase with you on demand and the price is less maybe online than it is for your full-service customer, companies or management is afraid that their full-service customers are just going to go online. Fact of the matter is it doesn't happen, and that fear is unwarranted, or it doesn't happen in numbers that are significant to really be worried about. We don't have time in this webinar to go through some of the numbers here, but we have actual numbers out of 2 case studies that we've done over the years or been involved in over the years. We also have volumes of anecdotal information in terms of what has happened with our clients today. And we know that losing the full-service customers to an online on-demand system is not something that's going to happen, because that's not why full-service customers buy full service. They buy full service because they want full service. If you are concerned about that, what I would encourage you to do is register for one of our other webinars, which drills down on this particular issue, about that fear of losing full-service customers being unwarranted, and we'll take you through the numbers on that. The other learning, lowering your operating costs. We talked about some of those things on the previous pages, and all of those things, and we'll talk just a little bit more here, is e-commerce can reduce your order fulfillment costs by about 20% compared to the way that you traditionally handle orders. So it allows you to essentially, because it's lower cost, you wind up being able to increase your margins while you sell at the same price, or actually, you can actually lower your price by a few pennies and still maintain a higher margin with your online sales. Why does that happen? It happens from a couple of different areas. One of them we already talked about is that 198-gallon average drop size. And, because what that does is it increases your gallons per driver, it increases your gallons per truck, and the other thing that happens is because you're acquiring new customers that you have not been doing business with previously through your online business, it also increases your delivery density. You're now delivering to customers that you were previously driving right by. All of that accrues to greater delivery efficiency, greater fleet efficiency, which we talked about before. So it certainly positively impacts your online business, but the added bonus is it impacts your core business as well as that happens. Some of the other savings of doing business online are in the cash management area. All deliveries are prepaid, so you know that the money is good before you ever send the truck out of the yard. You wind up having no bad debt. As long as you follow our guidelines, you will have zero bad debt. If you're not taking checks for payment, you will have no bad checks. And we do not recommend taking checks for payment, although we do, in fact, give our clients the opportunity to accept checks. And there are a couple of our clients that do, in fact, do that. As long as you're using an automated system, additionally, you also are not doing any manual keying of credit cards. You don't have anyone sitting at a terminal plugging in numbers, hopefully doing it correctly and not making any errors as well. Similarly, you're not doing any manual account credits if you're using a completely automated system. So all of these things here are also big money savers. Administratively, of course, you have a reduction of your customer care expense because as long as you have your business set up properly, customers are self-serving. They're getting answers to their questions online if you're including that information form online, or if you're interactively communicating with them through the platform. You're giving them a price quote, or they're placing an order, you're giving them an order confirmation, you're then sending them an email telling them when the order is going to be delivered, and then the system gives them a delivery confirmation after the fact that confirms the quantity delivered and reconciles all the dollars and cents for them and so forth. Consumers love that. It's a very clean, efficient process, obviously very clean and efficient for you as well. The other savings, and this is actually growing and is more so today than it was just a couple of years ago, is the e-marketing tactics, the ability to use digital marketing, which is much less expensive than some of the traditional means, and in some cases very much more effective than the digital means, is also less costly. So you have savings on the marketing side as well. All right, what does it take to run an online business? Three things, really. It takes commitment. Okay, it is a new business, so you need to give it the attention that it deserves. A lot of times we get the question, I'm the manager, can I run it? Or can the owner run it? And the easy answer is yes, as long as they can devote the time and make that same commitment to it. The good news is it doesn't take a lot of people. I can't think of any of our clients that have added any additional staff when they added online fuel sales. Again, if you're using a fairly sophisticated platform to be able to handle that process, it actually takes, it doesn't take any more people. Orders are easily integrated into your dispatch process. You're delivering them off of your same fleet using your same drivers. You're just doing it more efficiently. The second thing it takes to run the business, and this one we kind of repeat over and over again is follow the roadmap. Now, what's the roadmap? I mean, in our particular case, we don't just provide folks with the technology or the platform or the online system to allow their customers to transact business with them, but we actually provide an entire system around that software that is the how-to manual, if you will, on how to do that. And that roadmap very specifically includes a marketing roadmap, and we'll see a glimpse of that in just a slide or two. And we tell our clients, follow the roadmap. It's proven. We've used it. We've modified it since we've used it as we get more information from our current clients. And it does, in fact, work. So follow the roadmap. And believe me, we can see a dramatic difference in performance of companies that use the roadmap and those that do not. The numbers that we saw in terms of performance, like that 274% increase in volume this last season over the prior year, would be greater if all of the companies that were selling fuel this past season as well as the prior season, if all of them were following the roadmap, because not all of them are. So their increases weren't anywhere near 274%. So the roadmap becomes a very, very important part of what it takes to run an online business successfully, or at least get the potential out of the online business. There are companies that are following the roadmap, still running successful online businesses, but they're not enjoying anywhere near the potential that they could if they were following the roadmap. And the third thing is, avoid the rookie mistakes. And we can say that because we were the rookies, and believe me, we made a ton of mistakes, over the years. But hopefully we learned from them. Part of the rookie mistakes is not being consistent. Sometimes a company will start out gangbusters about this, and they'll go for a couple of months, and then they'll get distracted with something else, and all of a sudden nobody's paying attention to the online business. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it requires consistency to be able to grow the customer base, retain the customers, and so forth. Again, it doesn't take a lot of effort. Because so much of it is automated, but you still have to pay attention to the business. You can't just put it on autopilot. You also need to know how to set your business rules, and a lot of this is done up front. But doing business online is different than doing business by the phone or doing business by mail. And there are unique things. And, you need to know how to set the business rules. We help our clients do that based upon our experience. And a lot of it goes to making or really, not only having a satisfied customer when they do business with you online, but having a delighted customer when they do business online. The way you set your business rules can, in fact, accomplish, that for you. Also, protecting your margins. And again, we say it, like I said before, that roadmap is so important. Follow the roadmap. A rookie mistake would be, I know how to market in my market. And there may be some things unique about your particular market that may in fact be helpful. But follow the roadmap, first, and then add those other things, to the roadmap, and you'll definitely be successful. All right. So the last agenda item before we wrap up is, if you're thinking about selling fuel online, what does it really take? How do you do it? And you need to put together a number of different pieces. Now we've been doing it for a while, so it's easy for us to say it's pretty easy to do, but it really is. And again, we are very involved and active with our clients as long as they'll allow us to be. So we help many of our clients, through all of the steps from their initial decision, we're still helping clients years after they launched their business and providing them with guidance and sharing metrics with them and so forth. First thing you need is you really need a robust e-commerce platform. Why? Because consumers expect it from you. Okay, in terms of the sophistication of the platform, they want that. That platform to be fully automated. They want it to be secure. They want it to be safe. They want it to provide them with the convenience that they expect. So they don't want to, essentially fill a form in and send an email to you. They want to be able to log into their accounts so they can, within a few clicks, place a reorder. They want to be able to see their employment or their purchase history. They want to be sent reminders when, certain things happen. So automated platforms do, in fact, do that. So it must be, it has to be fully automated. And the other thing that it has to do is it has to handle the many nuances of the business. One of the things that some companies, operate on is their IT person or their webmaster, if you will, says, you want to sell fuel online? No problem. I've done that for other clients. They, put a shopping cart up. We can get that for, just a little bit of money, and we'll make some changes because you need to get some tank information. It works, and you'll get a few customers. It will actually cost you more money than serving those customers by phone typically, because it does not do everything for you. It will provide you with a secure transaction so the customer can pay, and so forth, but it will not handle the many nuances of our business. And, because there are a lot of unique things in terms of the fuel, in terms of pricing regions, in terms of discount levels, in terms of how that customer interacts with the website, the information that they're looking for. Do they want an additive put into their tank when that delivery is made? Do they want to fill the tank? Do they want to take a specific number of gallons? What happens if they don't hit the gallons that they order? How are they priced, and so forth? There are, in the Energy Engine, for example, there are better than about 100 different business rules that Adrienne and her team set for new clients, and then those clients can adjust, down the road. That's the kind of nuances in the business. But the only way you know that is if you've done it, before. So, in our case, it comes from our years of actually doing it ourselves and learning the hard way what those nuances are. The other thing you need as far as putting it all together is you need a realistic business plan, because if you don't know, what you should be hitting, as a gentleman that I worked for a number of years was fond of saying, hey, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And that's the same thing here. Without a plan, you may be doing, okay, you may be making money at the business and so forth, but the opportunity that you're passing by might even be bigger than the business that you're currently doing. So a financial plan, and this doesn't have to be an onerous type of an exercise, but a financial plan, marketing plan, and ultimately a management plan are things that we believe need to be done, and we actually provide our clients with some templates to be able to do that for their particular area. And then finally, you need the resources to be able to make it happen. And as we said before, it doesn't mean acquiring or adding a lot of staff to be able to do this. Somebody that's in the business now typically is the one that manages the business, but you do need a manager that is accountable. Treat it like it is a standalone business. Make that manager accountable for the performance of that business. And what happens? Somebody's accountable for something. They pay attention to it. It's really quite that simple. We talked about planning. This is an example of one of the templates that we use with clients. We look at the size of a service area. In this particular case, it's a relatively small delivery territory. It's got 40,000. This is for heating oil, so this one's based upon 40,000 heating oil households. Make some assumptions in terms of margin. Or along with the dealer, they may make different assumptions based upon their market, or we may help them with that. Selling price is not that critical to this particular model, but it is in there because it calculates credit card processing fees. But what is important is what can be accomplished with online sales. This model is called our 3% in 3-year business plan, and we encourage all of our clients to use this because we know that it is attainable, where you actually penetrate 3% of your market in your first 3 years in business online. what that translates to in this particular size market, would be, our expectation would be better than 300 new customers in year 1, growing to 1,200 new customers in year 3. And that all translates down to gallons and margin and so forth. Here we're talking about 1.5 million gallons over the course of those first 3 years. And, what company wouldn't want an extra 1.5 million gallons added to their business? And then this accounts for expenses. You need to pay to get it delivered, even if your existing trucks are making that delivery. You want to account for the cost of that delivery. You want to account for the cost of your marketing for your online business. And we don't talk a lot about marketing in this webinar. We do have another one that deals with some of the e-marketing tactics in particular. And again, you're welcome to join that if that's of interest. It talks about some of the costs and the benefits of some of the e-commerce things like SEO, search engine optimization, pay-per-click, and even retargeting and so forth. So online marketing can be done very, very efficiently at a lower cost. This number that's here is actually conservative. It's higher than it needs to be. But still, we like to be conservative because we like to make these plans. Make it more. Credit card fees, the same thing. Here we have 2% in here. You should be operating at 1.5% or less. Actually, some companies in our industry now that are actually, because of the mix of credit cards that they're taking, have a credit card experience actually less than 1% all in. A little bit hard to get to that, but it is certainly doable. But at the end of the day, after the for this first 3 years, we would expect this particular sized business to contribute about $285,000 back to the company. And then finally, before we wrap up, just kind of give you a little bit. We talk about the roadmap. This is the marketing roadmap. It consists of 2 parts. The one part we call the Vital 6. These are 6 tactics that we encourage every one of our clients to be doing. We think we know from our experience that they're critical to the business. Many of these are relatively easy to do. Search engine optimization is kind of the foundation. You should be doing that not only for your online business. You should be doing it for your core business as well. It's one of the 101 basics of marketing using the internet, or marketing in general today, as the internet has become so universal. We have some postcards thrown in there. We also have search engine marketing, or specifically pay-per-click. We're now to the point where we believe that's affordable and efficient enough, done properly, that should be part of our Vital 6 here. So we've actually made that change in the last year. These last three items, behavioral marketing, e-newsletters, and refer a friend, are either items that are completely done by our Energy Engine platform. Behavioral marketing is actually done, automated by the platform entirely. It's it's marketing that goes back to a particular visitor or customer based upon their behavior. So it's one-on-one marketing. E-newsletters are linked to the platform, but requires some input. Extremely, extremely effective, and over the long haul becomes your most important and your most valuable marketing tactic. Refer a friend program, again, in our particular case, completely automated and flexible for the program. So that's the Vital 6. We also have the secondary 7, which are 7 other items that work in some situations and for some companies that are in certain types of markets, but not for others. So they may be possibilities. So that's kind of a quick overview of the roadmap. And then finally, as we wrap up, one of the nice things about doing business online is virtually everything is measurable. And we can't go through all of the things that you can look at to measure the business. What we have here, though, is actually a snapshot that comes off of a portion of the dashboard for our clients, and this just has to do with traffic coming to the site. 2 lines here. This first line is the actual data. We actually link to Google Analytics. So this is 30 days worth of data for this particular sample client. The second line is their target. Okay, so we provide them with information. We're to the point with the history from our clients. We're based upon their particular business plan, how many orders, how many gallons they want to get. We can give them an idea how many visitors they have to get to that website every month in order to get those many gallons, because it all starts with the traffic with your online business. You need to get the traffic to the site before you can get the business. Pretty obvious, but that's an important measurable. And here, I mean, examples of some of the things that we visit and set targets for. Visits. How many people are coming to the site? You can see that the target for this client was set at 412. They were actually, and this was back in, this was the end of the heating season. So this was February 26th to March 28th was actually this 30-day period. So you can see that this particular company is absolutely blowing away the targets in terms of visits. I'll go down here, unique visitors. They're also blowing away the target of 206 with 1,189, so they're doing very well. Bounce rate, these are people that come to your homepage and don't interact with the site any other way. You want to keep that bounce rate less than 40%. This particular client was at 42, 43%. So nothing to get alarmed about at that level, but certainly something to watch. You don't want that bounce rate to creep up, because it's an indication that you have visitors coming to the site, but they're not finding what they're looking for, so they're leaving pretty quickly. And then visitors. Are they old visitors or new visitors? What we want is we want more new visitors than we want old visitors. So our target here for old visits is less than 50%, and you can see that the old visitors for this particular site was about 40%. So just a sample of these metrics. The interesting thing is every time you log in, or our clients log into the Energy Onion, this is on their dashboard. They can look every day and have a pretty darn good idea if they're going to make their numbers by the end of the period or the end of the quarter. Are they going to make their budget? If they're managing that way, and they can see that in near real time every day. Some of the other metrics that we watch pretty closely is gallons per delivery, gallons per customer per year, average gross margin per gallon, certainly something you look at regularly in the traditional business as well. And then also the cost of customer acquired. One of the beautiful things about doing business online is you can acquire customers at a fraction of the cost that the industry has typically acquired customers at. If you look at the industry overall, that number is somewhere between $400 and $500 per new customer acquired. That includes full-service customers. In the case of the online world, you can acquire a customer certainly less than $100. Our clients, if they're following the roadmap, they should be doing it less than $50. In our particular experience, over long periods of time, we have acquired customers for as little as $29 per customer. So very, very affordable. All right. So that really wraps up our webinar for this morning. So if you have any questions, now is a good time to type them into the chat feature, because we'll stay on the phone to be able to answer those questions for you. But in summary, our experience and what our clients are seeing today is that online sales are well worth the effort. It's one of the only ways or only affordable ways today to actually be able to add new customers in significant numbers and actually add gallons to your business. So, from our view, it's only a matter of time before every company's, selling fuel online. Because it brings you increased gallons, it increases your fleet efficiency. There's a whole lot to like about online fuel sales. There's very, very little not to like about online fuel sales. So that's our webinar this morning. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Adrienne.
Okay, great. Thanks, John. First question is, where can I find out local market statistics so I can figure out estimated market share?
Great question. You can the data is contained within the census. It's a little bit hard to find. Actually, EIA Also ties into some of that data with some of the new tools that are on the EIA website. The other place you can get some of that is, is from us, because we have access to it and we maintain some of that in our files. For example, on the sample plan that we showed a few slides back, when we were putting that together, we actually provide those numbers at least at the county level. It's also available at the zip code level as well. So the answer is either the U.S. Census, which you can get online, you can get some of it through EIA tied directly to other fuel data, or you can get it from us as well. We'd be glad to assist with that.
Okay. Next question would be, okay, so I'm interested in selling online. What is the next step?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, if you're, we'd be delighted to talk with you. Really, two conversations that really take place. The first conversation is finding out a little bit about what you were interested in, finding out a little bit about your business today, what you're trying to accomplish, the market that you service, and so forth. And we typically do a market assessment for the company that kind of talks about what the potential of the business is, to kind of give you a put that headset on for you, if you will, as far as this is the opportunity that you have available with online. This is the the gallons that are possible and margins and so forth. So you can kind of look at that and say, well, okay, does that make sense? Does online make sense for my strategies and so forth? Assuming that all of that, you're still interested in selling fuel online, the next step that we normally take a company through is actually to do a demonstration of the engine and the capabilities. Adrian does that for companies on a regular basis, and we'd be glad to do that for you. That's generally done online. It's done very easily online and actually more effectively online than it even is in person. So, because Adrian can show you some things easily on a computer screen, similar to the way your customers would see it on a computer screen. So that's normally the next step. So it's normally those two, and after the demonstration, typically a company will say, "Yep, okay, let's go," and then we push the buttons, and Adrian's team goes to work as far as getting the setup done, for clients so that they can begin to sell online. Adrian, did I miss anything in that?
No, I think that was good. The next one is, what does it take to get a website up and running? And if you want, John, I'll attempt the first part of this.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Generally, and I can answer this as easily as we could probably get a website up in as early as 2 weeks if you have all of your artwork. You have your logo, and you have what you have graphics, and you have the time to sit down and go through what we call our setup booklet. And what I do is I try to make a setup as easy as possible, and I have put together a booklet for, and I literally have put together a booklet of a setup of defaults, if you will, to help you along with our hundreds of rules, if you will. And it's just a case of you sit down and you set up your territory, all your zip codes and everything, and kind of go through everything. So if you have time to sit down and go through the booklet, you have your look and feel. Again, it can be as easily done in 2 weeks. However, if you don't have your design, you need to hire someone to come in and do a logo for you and do a look and feel for you. That can stretch on. If you're really busy and you don't have the time to sit down, again, that can stretch things out. So it's all based on things like that. John, do you want to jump in on any of this?
No, timing-wise, I know for a fact that Adrian's record to bring any company up is 13 days. So, it can, in fact, be done. It does require some cooperative effort between the two. The other thing through that process is, many of you may have resources already in place that handle different aspects of your business. You know, maybe it's your search engine optimization. You have an SEO firm that you work with. You have somebody that already does your existing website, so you know, they've done your graphics on that website and so forth. We work along with those resources. We don't replace any of those resources for you. If you don't have those resources, you know, you don't have someone right now that's an SEO firm, there are, you know, folks that we can point you to that do that, and from our experience do it well also. So, but we work cooperatively with those, you know, with those resources that you already have to, you know, in some cases, train them as far as, you know, what do they have to do differently, you know, online. If you have a marketing firm that you work with, maybe that does newsletters, if they're not familiar with e-newsletters, you know, we'll educate them on that. So we walk hand in hand with any of your resources that you already have, or if you don't have those, you know, resources and need to add, you know, someone to, you know, to your list, we can point you in that direction.
Okay, good. Is it expensive?
The energy engine expensive? No, it's not. You know, relative to a lot of things. You know, certainly sometimes people think about what we provide is just software, and of course you learned in this webinar that it goes way, way beyond software. But even if you look at it just as software, it's much, much less expensive than software that you know, we're accustomed to buying for our businesses in this industry. The most typical annual expense for our clients is $5,900. Let me tell you, in order to explain that, I need to tell you kind of how the engine is set up and why it's only $5,900. The engine is set up, you know, as most people would describe it, as on the cloud. So the only thing that you need in your office to be able to run an online fuel business using the engine is access to the internet. It's a web-based solution. So there are no servers, no computers that you need to buy to put in your back room. There's no software that needs to sit on those computers that you need to maintain. You don't need any communications into those servers, no T1s, no phone lines, no internet lines, that sort of thing. It's all handled on the cloud. You also do not need to host it like you host your existing website. We'll take care of that for you, you know, as part of the service that we provide, because your solution runs on the cloud on our servers. So you also have a secure environment. Matter of fact, not only is it secure by standards beyond what most companies use in the industry, but it's also redundant. So, you know, there are multiple banks of servers. So if something happens, you know, a hard drive crashes, it doesn't take down your site because there's another bank of those servers that traffic is diverted to, so that your customers don't have interruptions in access to your particular service. The other thing that is also included in our annual fee, it includes all your support maintenance, so you're not going to get a separate support maintenance invoice. You're also not going to have to upgrade to the next version of the software at some point, because your annual license also includes all of the enhancements that Adrienne and her team do on an ongoing basis. So that's all included. The break-even point, so, you know, is it expensive? The break-even point on this is, if you're doing heating oil, it's actually less than 2 orders per week is all it takes to break even your expense. If you're doing propane, it's less than 1 order a week. And as you saw from some of the examples here, the potential for the business is way, way beyond, you know, that type of volume. So you get a very quick return on that investment as well. The only other expenses that you would have from us would be, you know, initially there's setup, and that setup fee does vary depending upon your particular situation. But if you're, you know, if you're running multiple locations, so you need multi-dispatch capability, if you're dispatching out of multiple dispatch locations, that adds a little bit to it. If you're doing multiple fuels, you're doing heating oil plus propane plus commercial fuels, that will add a little bit more to it. But like I said, our typical customer pays $5,900 per year for the license for the engine.
Okay, great. And John, I'm going to request that after the presentation you send me a copy, because we do have a couple of people who have requested that I email it to them. So I will oblige them if you send me a copy.
Be glad to do that with the updated information in this particular webinar. You'll have it.
Okay, great. Okay, so with that, that was the end of the questions. So I would like to thank you, John, and thank you to all of our attendees for taking the time this morning. And I will be sending out an email to everyone with instructions on how to request maybe a more personalized demo, or should you need any help contacting us, or if you have any other questions. So with that, thank you again, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Bye-bye.